flower friends, it's Lisa dropping in here for Ask a Flower Farmer. It's our Wednesday get together. And if you have never done this before, if you're watching live, you are invited to post any question about flower farming down in the bubble with the question mark in it. That way I won't lose your question in the comments, right? And so, I mean, about seed starting, flower farming, flower business, flower harvesting, whatever. And I'll do my best to answer them until we hit 1 o'clock. And so I have several things that I want to say here today. First off, cool flower seed crops have been direct sown in the garden. I mean, I could dance, y'all. And so I planted 10 days later than we normally do. And it's just been really busy here. My time's just been consumed. And I'm always the one that direct sows. And anyway, Suzanne was here this morning, and with Bobo and Andrew doing other things on the farm, my sis and I got 28 different cool flower crops planted. And Bobo is now watering them as we speak. So that's like a huge boulder has just rolled off my shoulder, y'all. I'm exhausted, but I feel great, even though I have a lot more. My day is stacked. I still have much to do. But isn't that the greatest, right? When you do some big job. So that's check mark. And we're in the process of planting cool flower transplants now also. And I can't wait for y'all. I don't know if you've ever joined me for my live shopping show on Friday. We are introducing a new product on Friday that you do not want to miss out on. I just can't believe what a difference it makes in my transplants. And anyway, so join us 12 noon on Fridays, or you can watch the replay inside the app. But I wanted to show you this. We get a lot of communications this time of the year of people suffering from sprout. We get them all year, but this time of the year, people are really suffering getting cool flowers started, right? And I just wanted to show you this, one of the little hiccups about seed starting. First off, I have started well over 2 million seeds in my lifetime, which makes me have a lot of practice, which is why I grow great transplants, right? It did not start out this way, y'all. But when I saw this just a minute ago in the grow room, I thought I'm just going to bring this on and show them. So we grow cress, C-R-E-S-S. And there's 2 different varieties that are totally kind of different and different cultivars, right? And the difference in the way that they germinate, even though they're both cress, is amazing. This is cress green dragon, and it was sown a long time ago, 9/18. And it is just now really starting to pop. The Persian cress that was sown on the same day is already planted out in the garden. And this is just one of those things. This is the way it works. Different plants have different germination rates. They have different everything, really. But I just want to say that I was questioning, what's up with that seed? Was it not a good seed? And then lo and behold, what is it? It's almost a month old, right? And it's just now sprouting, and it's sprouting beautifully. I mean, there's babies coming in almost every block. This is our habit. And so you just have to arm yourself with patience, time, and a little bit of information to kind of like figure this whole seed starting game out. So I just thought I would share that with folks. Now I see we have a couple of questions. So I've had folks join since I made the announcement. If you would like for me to try to answer your question, post it in the bubble down below with the question mark in it. And anything to do with flower farming, seed starting, harvesting, business, farm dogs. My farm dog's in a little bit of hot water. Did you see what he did in my stories today? He gets our newspaper every morning, brings it in, parades around the house, then takes it to Steve. This morning, he took a detour. I was frying our eggs, so I couldn't really leave the kitchen. He took a detour, took the newspaper to our bedroom, and pulverized it. I mean, it's like confetti this big. Unbelievable. So I don't have an answer to fix that problem. But let's see what we've got over here. So Tony asks, at what temperature should we cover and uncover the cool flowers? Okay, so a precursor to that is we only fall plant those cool flowers that are actually winter hardy in our winter hardiness zone. What that means is that they don't need protection from the cold. We cover simply to enhance their growing environment by blocking the wind, by blocking varmints, squirrels, rabbits, deer, dogs, all of that stuff, right? So we really wait to put up our covers until it's pretty chilly out there. So my kind of go-to rule is to put covers up when it's going below 25 degrees at night, because that just means that's just really cold. That the covers, you know, in addition to protecting from wind and varmint damage, it just enhances growing. And my transplants come out of in spring, a little bit better shape, a little bit bigger, a little bit further along, because they had that heat index, right, that they benefited from. So when nighttime temperatures start going in the mid-20s, that's when I start saying, all right, I'll put my covers up, just to give some protection to the foliage. Then the problem now, and you know, no news flash, but we all know that the weather's changing, right? We have very sporadic hot and cold swings during the winter here now. Used to be 10 years ago when I wrote Cool Flowers. In 2014 it was published, so I wrote it in 2012 and 2013. Back then, you put the covers up at Thanksgiving, and we just didn't even go out and hardly look until February. You know, you put them up and left them up. That is not the case anymore. And so now, once they're up, if the daytime temperatures are starting to creep above 50 or 55 degrees in the afternoon and it is sunny outside, I'll take the covers down, because you don't want to encourage your plants to break dormancy. I mean, this is what's happening, right? Cool flowers. You plant them on time, so they have time to get established, or for a seed to sprout and grow into a little baby plant, kind of equal to what a transplant would be. So that when winter comes, they're ready to go dormant. And they go dormant. And you want to keep them dormant till, you know, next very early spring. So we take the covers down when we're going above 50 to 55 degrees and it's sunny outside. I have never, in the last 3 years, I mean, it's covers up, covers down all winter long. And that's just the way it is, but it's worth it. So hope that answers your questions. All right. Ideal lows less than 30, but how much should I worry about the occasional high? Okay, so this is a great question. So she's asking about when should I direct sow. Ideal lows less than 30, but how much should I worry about the occasional highs in the 80s? Wait to direct sow. No. So first off, the problem, and this is what I was kind of worried about, why I'm just so relieved to have my seeds in the ground. I waited, so my first frost date is mid-November, so that's like 4 weeks from now. So I'm 2 weeks past my 6 to 8, right, weeks. And the problem with direct sowing and waiting is that all of a sudden it gets cold and there's no more warm days. I mean, I sat down this morning at breakfast, Steve and I looked, and it's like next week, the next 10 days are perfect cool flower weather. 70-degree days, mid-50s at night. That's like perfect, made for cool flower seeds to sprout. But if you're not having that perfect weather, you really have to lean on your dates, because if I waited 2 more weeks, chances are really good that the days aren't going to get warm. The seeds need warmth to sprout, and they won't die out there. But I can promise you this is what happens to most people that direct sow. They sow at the wrong time, and their seeds don't sprout quickly at all because of the wrong timing. But all the weed seeds definitely sprout, and they aren't cultivating like we talk about. And y'all, I don't know if you, I think I already said this, but you know, on our Friday, in my phone app, Gardener's Workshop Live Shop, we have a special bundle we started last weekend. It's both of my stand-up hose together as a set, which is a 5% savings. But in addition to that, there is a savings on shipping because we bundle them. So it's only like $20 to ship your package instead of buying them separately. I mean, you get two for the price of one shipping, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, people that plant seeds and then don't start cultivating almost immediately within 10 days just get overrun with weeds. So for you, I would lean into what are my dates, when am I supposed to direct sow, and kind of go with those dates. Don't worry about 80 degrees. As long as the nights are cool, that's really what helps your seeds to actually sprout. So you'll just have to kind of like I did, just like take a guess and say, all right, I'm going to plant next week. The weather looks okay, but you just do the best you can is all you can do, and be sure to water them. What cool flowers bloom first on your farm and which ones bloom last? First off, this totally depends on when you plant them, right? The first bloomers on my farm are usually and this is all out in the field, bachelor buttons and Iceland poppies. Yeah. And the last ones would definitely be helenium and straw flowers and lisianthus, because that's their natural bloom date, right? Later in the season. What flower bouquet design class workshop do you recommend? I don't have one that I recommend. Those are really the greatest to find something where you can go in person. I don't know where you are, to hook up with, find somebody online that's within 2 to 3 hours. It's just crazy to me that people drive a day to come to our farm just for an open farm. You need to find somebody that you really admire what they've done, their work, and their teaching style. You can tell that from their social media, hopefully, and then connect with them and find classes. But I think it's definitely an in-person thing, and because that's a real hands-on learning experience. Do you rotate which crops you grow on your tunnel in order to keep pests from getting established in there? That's a really great question. So the tunnel that she's talking about, it's not like a hoop house tunnel. It is our livestock panel tunnel that we build. You can, I don't know where you can see that. Anyway, it's on my social media from time to time. It's 50 feet long, and we grow lots of vertical stuff on it. And no, we haven't yet. And yes, that can be a problem, especially like the gourds. And the gourds get the squash bug. The hyacinth bean only pest that I found so far are the deer. But yes, that would be a great idea to do, but ours is a little big and out of control at this point in time. And the love and a puff gets milkweed bugs, which don't really cause a problem, but it just helps them increase their population. So rotation is always a great idea. This year, we're actually going to attempt this fall to plant our sweet peas we have to put them far enough away from the tunnel so we can hoop and cover them if we need to. So cross your fingers, we're going to give that a try this year. But yeah, rotating always is always a good idea. Our seeding snack. So, Flowers of the Field, Ontario. So this is one of our Canadian people. And we'll have a great announcement in a couple of weeks about Canada. Are you seeding snapdragons now? If so, which group and series? So what I will say to you for the way that I farm is I don't even think about the groups. And people get so confused over this. So we plant all snaps in the fall. All the seeds are started at the same time. All the plants are transplanted, which they're probably 2 weeks away from being transplanted. We plant them all in the fall, out in the garden, and then they bloom at different intervals. The first ones, the chantillies, which are the short day, they're the group 1 or 2, I think. They're the ones that bloom during the short days. They they keep on blooming for weeks and weeks because they're so well established. And then a week or so after that, then Madam Butterfly comes on, and then the groups fall in. So I have tried to untangle so many people over the group things. We plant them all in the fall. We start all the seed at the same time, and we plant them all at the same time. They set up the stage of timing. And because they were all fall planted, they're well established, so you get extraordinary stem length. Like, for instance, if I planted chantillies in very early spring, they probably wouldn't be very tall because they bloom when the days are shorter. But if I just planted them a few weeks before, they just don't have time to really get established to build those great tall stems. So hope that helps. I planted my hardy annuals in the 6 to 8 weeks before frost timeline, but my snapdragons are so tall already. Should I pinch them? Again, they're about a foot tall. Oh, Sarah, I know that's the big problem is it just, the fall weather just keeps on coming, right? And I'll say again, if anybody has a question, post it down in the bubble with the question mark, and I will do my best to answer it for you. That's why we're still planting. You know, my first normal first frost is mid-November. But because I've experienced what you're talking about here, where the plants they're growing and growing and growing, and the weather's just a little bit warmer, I'm delaying planting of transplants for sure. The direct seeding, as I mentioned earlier, we don't do that, can't really push that envelope. But to answer your question, the more you pinch, the punier the stems you're going to get next spring, right? Because every time you pinch, that makes the plant make more sprouts. So instead of having maybe 8 sprouts with unpinched, then you pinch it, then you're getting 16 stems. And if you pinch those, you're going to get twice as many. And then when you get so many stems on a plant, they just aren't as tall and as big and as voluptuous. And I'll tell you the truth, we have some puny snapdragon transplants. One of my shelves, and I think we figured this out last year and I didn't fix it. One of the shelves in my grow room has grow lights that just are not bright. Only one of them is, and it was so obvious. So my lights run this way, and our trays go in this way. Only one little section of the trays have really nice looking transplants. The rest of them are puny. That is 100% light. So we're getting ready to restart ours, is what I was going to say, as a backup plan. We call that an insurance plan. So I would say to you, if you restarted your snaps, to have them, just in case your fall just keeps on going and going and going, you know, you might think about just planting a second round, even if you don't pull out the first round. You know, you just have to play it by ear and figure it out. I would resist pinching unless I absolutely had to, if it's your second pinch, right? So see how that works for you. Can bachelor buttons be direct sown, or do you recommend starting in blocks? You know, bachelor buttons prefer to be direct sown. And friends, I want to just say this, that in both of my books, Cool Flowers and the Cut Flower Handbook, and Vegetables Love Flowers, and on our seed packets, and on our website on each seed on the store, you know, if you go to bachelor buttons, it tells you right there, the first method listed is always the preferred method. And bachelor buttons is a real, they really do best direct sown. And I just can't tell you how many people suffer with seed starting because they're simply doing it not the way that the seed prefers. You have to know for every seed you grow, what is the preferred method. And I mean, it's just too funny that we were videoing in the garden this morning of me direct sowing and all that stuff. And normally, all of my plants are started from the same seed packets that you buy from our shelves. I actually posted on Instagram the picture of my trash can full this morning of all the seed packets that I planted this morning. And let me tell you what's so super convenient about that. Used to be when I would buy bulk and just bring the bulk home, I would carry the Cool Flower book with me out to the garden. I don't remember that stuff. You have to look every single time. I have to look and say, I kind of remember now what's direct and what's transplant, but I never remember does it get covered with soil or not? Because that's another key piece of getting seeds to sprout. Does it need light so you don't cover it, or does it need darkness to break dormancy, right? So reading and knowing that, so that was a great question. And you should know that for every seed you start. And that is you just don't even know how many emails we get, and people are, just frustrated because their seeds didn't sprout, but it's like they're talking about starting them at larkspur is a great example. Larkspur, which should be direct sown outside. The reason that is, and in fall, is for larkspur seeds to break dormancy, for that little embryo in there to be able to crack through and push through that outer shell. And for it to start that whole process, it has to have a variation in temperature for that to happen, like 55-degree nights and 70-degree days or close thereof. And not many of our houses go down to 55 at night. Mine goes pretty cold at night, but it doesn't go that cold. And when you try to start it inside, it doesn't matter what you do. If you don't give it that temperature variation, which is pretty impossible to do, unless you have a temperature-controlled greenhouse, then you're never going to get them to sprout. And I just don't even know how many people have reached out that are so frustrated because they couldn't get their larkspur to start in soil blocks. Well, none of us can, y'all, because that's not what they need. They need to be outside in the garden in fall conditions, cool nights, warm days, right? So here comes Susie Q, the girl that you have to say, hey, Suzanne. She's coming. The reason the cool flowers got sowed, she's going to the warehouse now. Thank you, sister. So direct sow bachelor buttons, and I direct sowed this morning 4 varieties. So y'all know that I've downsized my garden, right? I've gone from having this huge, 3 huge cutting gardens that are pretty big because we don't need that many flowers, down to 1. It's 1/5 of an acre. I think that's right. Yes, it's 1/5 of an acre. And that'll be, I think it's 10 75-foot beds on each side of my tunnel. 10 cool flowers, and then the other side will be 10 warm season, and then the whole rotation craziness starts, right? And so that forced me to make choices. And I couldn't start Suzanne pointed out this morning that I didn't start the pink bachelor buttons. I love Pink Girl. In the boy series, oh my gosh, that is the most gorgeous pink color. And they bloom early, right? So they're really great at popping up bouquets. And we also didn't start green marbles, Nigella, which is, I forget the name of that one. But anyway, it's got a green pod, which we're really sad that we didn't start that one. But I had to make choices. And let me tell you, the best things happen when you're forced to make choices instead of playing the wide field, right? So, direct sow your bachelor buttons. All right, Phoebe's Flower Farm. I missed the 6 to 8 week window for direct sowing poppies. Can I still direct sow them in my raised bed, or do I need to wait till late winter? I'm still getting higher days in the 70s. I would definitely, I don't know how much you missed your 6 to 8 weeks, but if there is any flower you could direct seed later than most, it's poppies. They love it cold. That's probably why most people can't get poppies to germinate, is because they plant the seed outside when it's still too warm. So I say go for it. I planted some Iceland poppies and giant poppy pods this morning. And y'all, I'm just telling you that being forced to make choices, I'm feeling pretty empowered by that. So we planted 28 different seed packets of direct sown stuff this morning. And then I'll have 5 beds of transplants, I think, and then 2 of the beds are for very early spring plantings, because we've already made those beds. The beds for your very early spring planting should already be ready and waiting for those very early spring, which for me is like Valentine's Day. And they just sit out there empty, waiting for your transplants. So I want to show you this since there's no more questions. Bobo is on a Gumphrena harvesting craziness. So we're going down into the 40s last night and the next couple of nights, which just kind of really whacks the warm stuff. They're still out there. They aren't really damaged yet, but they aren't going to be regrowing. We'll be mowing all of our gardens, the warm season gardens here shortly, and getting all of our cover crop in. Because it's not the best quality, right? Well, Gumpfrina, we do so much winter crafting work with that, especially for our live shopping show, that Bobo cut a whole bunch for me. Today, if you're a member of my club, at 2 o'clock, every Wednesday I do the 2 o'clock sowing circle. And we're not talking about sowing, we're talking about sowing seeds. But today I'm not sowing seeds. I'll be doing more Gumpfrina bundles like we make for making wreaths. Anyway, so at 2 o'clock, if you're in the club, don't forget to meet up with me at 2 o'clock inside the club, as well as, and if you don't know about my club, you can comment club here and get the details and join it. We just dropped yesterday the master class for October, which is awesome. It's dried flowers, what now? And it's talking about, I'm showing all the different dried flowers that we've dried. Who are the duds? What were the great ones? What do you do with them? What are the different ways, sales market outlets potentially? Do you make stuff? Anyway, so don't forget to check out the master class if you're a club member. And would love to have you join in that. It's got a private platform, so it's like Facebook, but with a private group of people. I'm in and out of there. There's no ads, of course. We have a master class, a broadcast. Sewing Circle is every week, and then I do a live Q&A once a month where I answer every single question. Anyway, it's just a lot of fun. All right, friends, so there's no more questions, and I am going to start getting ready for the Sewing Circle with my club. And, I totally forgot, y'all. Did you see I have a new free live masterclass? Duh. Comment here, Sales 101, and I will DM you the link to get into where to sell cut flowers. Y'all, I'm doing 5 live master classes starting next Tuesday, and yes, they're really live. And I'm going to be going through 14 different outlets to sell flowers, sell cut flowers, pros and cons of each, and what you might need to actually be able to do it. And it is going to be awesome. I'm totally stoked on it because y'all know that selling the flowers is really what I really love talking about. I love talking about all of it, y'all. But selling the flowers makes it all so easy to do the rest of the flower farming gig if you know what you're going to be doing with those flowers. So comment Sales 101. If you need to, you can just go to my website, thegardenersworkshop.com. It's at the top of every page. Get your seat. There's 5 different options in there. There's a worksheet. When you sign up, print out the worksheet, which we're going to fill that out during the master class. And then also share it, and at the bottom it has a way for you to share it with your friend. Invite a friend to watch it with you. I would love for that to be. It's already getting pretty full. We just launched it yesterday. So I love live webinars, y'all. I am just really figuring that out. I love empowering other people because I will tell you the honest to goodness truth. You can kind of fumble along and figure out how to grow stuff, which that's not the best way, but it's possible. But the problem that we see just crushing people is they're surrounded by buckets of flowers like this, and they have no idea where to sell them and what to do with them. And when you have the flowers like this, is not the time to be figuring that out. And I just want to set you up for a great spring next year and open some doors, some options, and some ideas. And would love to have you join me. So comment Sales 101, and totally cannot wait to see you on the inside. And so this Friday on the show will be, I don't know what the theme, it's dried flowers. I'm going to be highlighting, we have tons right over there of cool flowers that we've dried. And so maybe it'll spur you to plant more, or to plant a cool flower that you hadn't already planned on planting, or catch it for very early spring, because we have some amazing dried cool flowers, and that's what we will be highlighting on Friday. and can't wait. And don't forget, you'll see it inside that app is also where our new hoe set is. Oh my gosh, it is just the best, y'all. We sold so many of them last week because I'm telling you, it's the secret to a weed-free direct sown bed. Y'all, I'm gonna get off here because I could talk, as you know, half a day, and I have to go get ready for Sowing Circle. All right, friends, comment club if you want to learn about my club. If you want to get into my free live webinar on where to sell your cut flowers, find the market fit for your flower farm, comment Sales 101. All right, friends, ciao.